Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things AEW and WWE. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in-depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions on everything happening in the world of professional wrestling. Join us as we dive into the high-octane action, dramatic storylines, and backstage buzz of AEW and WWE. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling. I'm your host, Josh, the Kingpin of Knockouts, and joining me, as always, is my amazing co-host, the Temptress of Turnbuckles, Dawn. Tonight, we're covering WWE Raw from March 17th, 2025. Let's get into it.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Tonight's episode is being brought to us from Brussels, Belgium. I can only assume that the WWE is on that European tour.
They are.
And the crowd in Belgium was legit.
Yeah.
They were popping for everything.
Even stuff that was like, oh, please.
Yeah, and some of the stars were milking it, as we will discuss as we talk about the episode a little more in detail. The episode opens with, I guess, what everybody was anticipating. John Cena was there tonight, and it opens with him coming out. He's playing his music. He's getting booed out of his mind. And so he starts out like he's going to be a little more high energy until he understands the temperature of the crowd, and then he goes low key and kind of, he's got this. What is it? What did it say on there? It didn't say it's time to go to work. I think it said this is the last time or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, something like that. Can't remember exactly what it said, but it was something along the lines of, this is the last time, or the last time is now, I think.
Yeah, something along those lines. And so he's making his way down the entrance ramp slowly instead of running like he usually does. And the whole crowd is booing him. And I believe about midway down, it was like Cena sucks chants. And then it sort of shifted to let's go Cena, Cena sucks. Which I thought was weird, because like Cena sucks and the boos all make perfect sense. I'm like, who still is like, let's go Cena? I think the crowd was more like playing along with the chant of let's go Cena, Cena sucks, than the fact that he's got that many supporters personally.
I mean, maybe, but there were quite a few out there that had his t-shirt on. Like his current one, the red one. The red means, danger.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, right. Danger is danger, Cena.
Yeah,
like, that would matter. No one can see him anyway.
I wish I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, I'm sure he loves that joke. In fact, he mentions it.
Yeah.
He finally gets the mic, and the crowd is just booing the bejesus out of him for quite some time. And then he puts the mic down like he's going to walk away, and they boo louder. And then, so he goes back to the mic. This happens twice before he finally starts talking. And what he ends up coming up with as a 16, potentially 17-time world champion who has had a 23-year career in wrestling and has made millions of dollars, is that for 25 years, he's been the victim.
Yeah.
He's the victim of an abusive relationship with the WWE Universe. And all that the WWE Universe knows how to do is be hurtful and abusive, and they bully him into being his damn, or all of our damn puppet and expecting him to do it with a smile on his face. And at around that point, the Belgian crowd is telling him, fuck you, Cena. And Netflix, they censored it, but they didn't catch the first like 2 rounds of the chant. So he goes on to point out that that's very classy. And repeatedly, as he's getting booed throughout the night, like he tries to sell this story that, he's just been commoditized and it's the WWE universe's fault and they've only ever taken from him and never given him nothing. And I'm sitting there thinking, 25-year long career, Hollywood career, kinda. I mean, it's not The Rock's, but he does have one. And millions of dollars. Yes, all the universe ever did was take from you. And he continues to blame everybody else for
take away his
him
debt.
basically being, the product. And it's like, yeah, that's what you fought your way into the WWE to be, my dude. So as much as he was trying to sell this, I just couldn't get past it. So it came off like he's trying to be an absurd heel, maybe, or delusional.
I don't know. He sounds just like The Rock. They both as of late have had like really incoherent, just ramble sessions, and they call those promos. And people are like, yeah, but it's because they're basing it off of the old stuff, just like they did with CM Punk. Whenever he did his little Indian style ring set.
Yeah.
Ever since then, people bring that up constantly. So, same thing with this. Like people like, and man, I'm telling you, it ain't working because, it was some incoherent shit. Like, long story short, I get the point that he was trying to make. And I think I even said to you whilst we were watching this here little show, it wasn't what he was trying to get across. It was how he was doing it. Because I can go on and on about the promos of Cena past. He's a master on the mic, so is The Rock. Those are one of the things that made these two wrestlers icons. You could go to any, like, there's freaking so many YouTube channels that have so many iconic moments on the mic for John Cena and for The Rock. So both of these gentlemen have been giving us some I think, I'll speak for myself, in my own opinion, some very underwhelming promos. And that was my problem here. This was just incoherent and it was a ramble fest. So instead of sounding like the John Cena that I know and respect on the mic, he just sounded like a crazy get off my damn lawn dude. And it was like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean all we've done is take? I can't believe you could say that with a straight face, promo or not, while there are people in the audience that have paid $600 to freaking see you. You're joking, right?
And have all bought your merch, which you get a fat percentage of.
Yeah, that you then talk crap about. You're not gonna give them anything.
Yeah.
You're not giving them anything. They paid for this. You're a product.
Yeah.
That's what you made yourself into.
And that's what I mean is, like, this isn't a difficult thing to understand. I mean, he would have to understand this to have been in this business. And so it just came off as kind of absurd and diluted. And I don't think it makes me wonder. You've pointed out that Rock and Cena are great promo guys. Do you think they're downplaying in order to make like other not as promo guys? Like, because clearly in this promo, and I'll continue to kind of summarize the points that he hits on, but in this promo, he wants to be utterly buried. Like, he goes off on all of the people that are Cena haters, and then he makes a special note of all of the people that like Cena and why they're terrible, if not worse. Because they're the ones that always take. What do we get? What do we get? And he goes on to say, you get nothing. You get what you've earned. And it's like, yeah, you're living in like a huge mansion because you got what you earned because these people paid for you, you weirdo. And it didn't make me feel like heat on Cena. I mean, he definitely is the less likable of the two, but that's still more because of what he did to Cody at Elimination Chamber than this particular promo. This promo makes
Yeah.
me think that you're stupid, not that
Yeah.
you're bad, you know? Because it just doesn't track. And that's the problem I'm having with it. And it was a problem I had with several of the Rocks promos trying to do the Cody thing. It was
Yep.
long winded, rambled a lot, took 82 years to say what he was trying to say.
Oh my, yeah, his was so much worse. Like
So much words.
for everything that I'm complaining about with John Cena, I don't think John Cena could be as bad as The Rock. I mean, as bad. He's getting there. He's incoherent. It's like, what? What are you talking about? But man, The Rock, some of The Rock's promos, holy cow.
Yeah, well, the final boss's promos anyway.
Yeah, the final boss. Yeah. Woof.
But to summarize, and I'll do this a lot faster than him, he had made that point about how his haters, can go fuck themselves, and all of the people that like him, here's why you're worse. And I explained that. And he says, you don't get any new music. That's my voice on the song. Your time is up. My time is now. And he's tired of the people stealing his personal moments, stealing his time, making him their toy, and making him an object for them. And then he goes on to complain about the being the butt of the stupid invisible joke meme for years. And he says, that's not funny. That's pathetic. And then he goes on to, because the crowd at this point is booing him. And I don't think they're booing him because of the content of his message, but the long-winded and pointlessness of it. And he's like, oh, you can't handle the truth? Is this hard to hear because you know I'm right? And it's like, oh, God, please shut up. And fortunately, that's when Cody Rhodes came out. And it takes somebody rambling for like 93 years to make Cody Rhodes seem brief. But he comes out and he says, I think everyone was willing to hear you out. Yeah, I think we started that way.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, if I understood correctly from what you said, they've given you their worst while you gave them your best. But he goes on to say, yeah, sure, they may have given you the worst, but they also gave you their best for 25 years, and they did that because you were special. They did that because you could take it and because you could carry it. And John Cena starts with, like, listen, kid, and Cody Rhodes, like, screams, enough. And it's certainly not kid, it's WWE champion. And then he goes on to ask Cena, who the hell are you? Where's the guy on your shirt? And he points at John Cena's shirt. And he says, I don't know what you did. I was excited at the prospect of going week to week, face to face with John Cena. Instead, I get this. Well, this better not show up at WrestleMania, because if it does, I run it over, I run it out, because I already took its best shot and it wasn't enough. I retire it early. So go find John Cena, because I want to wrestle him at WrestleMania 41, not this whiny bitch. That's almost verbatim what Cody Rhodes said. And that was perfect, and it was short and sweet and got to the point. And I mean, man, John Cena apparently wants to just burn it down with his final run.
He wants to Seth Rollins it.
Apparently, because that's not generating like, ooh, I'm excited to see this match. This literally was him, if it's intentional, then your mission accomplished. You were generating go the fuck away heat, because it's like that was not entertaining to watch. It was kind of sad, and it was just overly verbose, and just took too long to bring up whatever whiny ass points he was trying to make. So I mean, it's like, I simultaneously thought the content was stupid while thinking he took too long to spit it out.
Yeah.
And there were a couple times I felt that way this evening on Raw, but this was like the worst of it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, even though the crowd was like lit, like the crowd was live. The vibe was, it felt kind of weird. Maybe I can like, maybe it was me, right? But I mean, like, my day was every other day, so I'm not really, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, why would it be you, right?
Right. It was just, I was fine until I started watching this, and it was like, why is the vibe so weird?
Well,
not to mention, Corey Graves was just randomly, just suddenly there. And I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe it was that because I don't know how happy I would be if I were him and put in this position. Like you send me home, you fire my wife while she's on leave, which is like really unheard of in WWE. They very
yeah.
seldom do that. So I mean, what was that about
Well,
then? If
they
not a flex?
previously very seldom did that. Recently, they've made that kind of the new modus operandi because they not
True.
only did it to Carmella, but they did it to the OC, or at least one of the guys in the
Yeah.
OC. So maybe that's TKO's new take on it. Is like, if we're done with it, we're done with you. I don't care if you're injured. So
Maybe,
you know,
but I know that in this particular situation, it's a very bad look. Um,
yeah,
so
yeah,
if I were Corey, I would already be in my feelings about the whole fucking situation. Excuse me. Then you fire my wife, and then I, hey, hi, how's it going? WWE here. We were wondering if you could
yeah.
come into. Are you what? And you want me to get on a plane and fly hours? Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
it almost makes me feel like being a cynic about it. It makes me feel like what they did to Carmella was almost retaliatory for Corey
Right.
Graves.
That's exactly.
Like,
And
like
yes,
I'm not saying it
yes,
was exclusively that. Like maybe they're on the
right.
fence. They're cutting corners and they're like looking at who and they're like, well, Corey Graves has been a little shit, so fuck him and his wife. I mean, it could
Yeah.
be. Maybe
Yep.
that's not how it went down, but can you see how easily it could be looked at that way? And I'm sure Corey has
Yes.
looked at it that way. Corey
I mean,
doesn't
how
look
could you
like
not?
he's anything if not a sharp cynic, so he would definitely think he's getting shat upon.
Yeah. How
So
how could you not?
If I was Corey, I'd be looking to like jump ship to AEW or something because God knows their announced team could use the help, and he would immediately become their number one guy over there.
Yeah. They really could use a little something
And
over
hell, they could
there.
use Carmella too. Shit, their women's division wouldn't be hurting to have a veteran.
Yeah. No disrespect to Shivani at all, but Shivani should be on commentary as much as JR. No, no, no
I don't know.
disrespect to either one.
Shivani fucks up, but here lately he doesn't fuck up as much as Michael Cole. I mean, and I'll point him out tonight, but he was on a run of like calling the wrong shit.
Yeah,
Um, but
mayhaps.
after that particularly lengthy promo, Michael Cole does go off on John Cena as he exits the ring, pretty much saying, this everything that everybody who heard that crap would probably be thinking, and that is, he supported Cena for 25 years. He bought into everything he was selling. He's outraged that Cena had the audacity to blame the fans, especially when they're the reason he's a 16-time champ, a millionaire, and a movie star. Bingo. And
Yeah.
he also goes on to call Cena an irrational prick. Yeah, nailed it. But thanks for interpreting that for us, Michael. I mean, at least you delivered it like you yourself were outraged, but it's not like the WWE doesn't like use you guys to give us the interpretation they want us to have because they
Yeah.
don't think we can remember. Like we don't have object permanence as much as they recap shit.
Yeah. Every 5 seconds. Like right
Literally
after it
everybody.
happens,
Yep.
they will recap it. Like something will happen, they'll go to break and they'll be like, "Oh, 3 minutes have passed by. You guys must have
Like
forgotten
seriously,
every
someone at
single thing."
WWE thinks that when a commercial break happens, it's the flashy thingy from Men in Black, and the audience just completely forgot what they saw 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
If it had been like 90 seconds, then maybe we'd still remember. But we need to recap this so that everybody knows what's happening.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, you're
And
not
this
wrong.
this might be a good spot. And I hate to sound like I'm bitching about Raw a lot, but I do feel the need to bitch about Raw, especially this episode. We watched it on Netflix, a service we pay for. And this thing cut to commercial what felt like every 5 fucking minutes. It was hard
Seriously.
to watch. If I
Yeah.
hadn't had that skip 10 seconds ahead button to look at Raw, it would have been brutal. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's the same fucking like set of 10 commercials that they
Right.
hit you with like across 3 hours like 150 trillion times. I exaggerate, but not by much.
Yeah.
So that was just rough as far as the format. Like, I get that they need to get their wrestlers paid, but holy crap. Like, the amount, if we distilled it down to the amount of that was just wrestling or actually wrestling related promos and shit, Raw would probably be an hour and a half.
Yeah. You ain't wrong. And it's annoying. Like, seriously.
Like, super annoying. Because it
And
feels
I
like
don't,
the nanosecond you get into the flow of a match or something that they're like, skirt, and it's like, dude, I think you're trying to give me ADD.
yeah, I don't even think that it's a. I don't, because I mean, I know that you have to get like different levels of service with Netflix, but I don't even think it's that. I don't even think that's the issue, because I don't know which one we have, but we're not subscribed to like the cheapest one.
Yeah. No, I think it's just that WWE and Raw, and probably now even more so with TKO behind it, is trying to squeeze out every advertising dollar they can possibly make.
Goodness gracious! Well, they're success.
Yeah,
They
I mean,
they've done it.
it was rough to watch, picture in picture, and like 1,001 commercial breaks. And it's not even just the commercial breaks, because you'll come back from a commercial break to have Corey and Michael like tell you about Snickers and WWE 2K25 and like a sports team and where the WWE is going to be next week. And then by the time you get what feels like 30 seconds of like the show I'm actually watching's content, they cut to another fucking commercial. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yep.
So that rant over, but I mean, geez Louise, that's a rough 3 hours to try and endure. Again, the only thing that made it doable was the 10-second skip button that seems to work on commercials as long as we don't catch up to the actual airtime of Raw.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin will be appearing at WWE World during WrestleMania 41 weekend. For anybody who cares, that's what they decided we all needed to know. And that
Jesus Christ.
finally, well, I mean, I'm a little bit chuffed actually coming off of Raw after watching all that stuff. Like they totally blew my patience in this episode. Because like the long-winded Cena stuff and the constant commercial breaks and in-show advertising was extreme. I mean, it felt tiring to try and endure. That said, finally, we get to the first match of the night, which is Penta versus Ludwig Kaiser in a no holds barred match. And since I feel like I have been dominating it, would you like to share your thoughts on this match?
Yes. I'm the friendly happy one tonight. I'm just kidding, guys.
I mean, try my patience if you want to see me make a heel turn.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And just the commercials were. I know we just talked about it, but yeah, they were wow. But first match of the night was Penta versus Ludwig Kaiser in a no holds barred match. Now, I don't really know what no holds barred meant in this particular match, because it just seemed like a regular match to me.
Yeah, I think it
You
was
know what I
no
mean? Like,
DQ though, right? Like
I
I think that's
guess,
how
but I
it was
mean,
interpreted.
sure. Yeah, but I mean, like, none of that really mattered. It was just a basic match between the two. Not saying that it was bad. It wasn't a bad match, but I mean, I
Why a
don't
no
know.
holds barred
Yeah, I
match?
don't
Yeah.
know what the no holds barred was gonna do, or
Well,
what they thought it was going to do, because I mean, it didn't do anything. Like, nobody came
yeah.
out to help anybody. Nobody, um, it was just a regular match, y'all.
Here's the
I
thing.
mean,
If
yeah,
I was gonna stick Penta in a no holds barred match, Anybody who's familiar with Penta knows that he uses the Fear Factor, also known as the package pile driver, which has also been used on WWE. So if I was going to stick Penta in a no holds barred match, guess fucking what I would have him finish with or
Oh,
use at some point in the match.
right, but for him to do that would mean that he's gone heel right now because it's still a very restricted, like hush hush. Only the most insane Kevin Owens, who's trying to kill people, would do the match. Yes, we know. I know. You and I live in a wrestling world where the pile driver, the package pile driver, any pile drive variant thereof is just another fucking move. Um, I mean, if anybody out there plays Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm pretty sure somebody has come up with the way to package pile drive fire chicken. I look, it's like it's like it's something that like it's just common in the wrestling world. It's common in movies. It's a common
Yeah.
move, man.
It's much more common in any other wrestling promotion that exists except for WWE.
And WWE, that is the dark arts move that once done summons the dark WWE devil, and that's how you want a dark omen, because that's how you get a dark omen apparently. So that's why he can't do it, because he's a face, and he's not going, like, if him and Kevin started like hanging out and like connecting, and then Penta decided to go heel and he popped out with the package powder, then okay, it's cool. But no,
Yeah.
only when he goes to the dark arts, only then
Yeah, no,
can
I
he do
fully
the move of death, the instant
I
death.
fully agree that because he's a face, he wouldn't do that. But I'm trying to figure out why stick Penta and Ludwig in name only a no holds barred match.
They got some
If
kind of heat
not to
apparently.
use a barred hold, you know what I mean? Like everything they did was basically normal shit. Like there wasn't like, oh my god, he whipped out the flying butt pliers that have been banned since '83.
It's like,
You
yeah, he
know?
didn't though. He didn't. Oh, did he slap him? Oh, right to the face. The disrespect. Okay. So yeah, this was just a basic match, guys. Was it bad? No, of course not. It was Penta. Penta can't do anything wrong. He is the best lucha that ever existed, and I'll fight you if you disagree. That's just the way it is.
Yeah,
Um,
for just in case that came across, because you kind of sounded sarcastic when you said it. You know, you
no,
mean it.
I'm
Like,
being
Penta is the
serious.
greatest.
No,
He
of
really
of
is.
course, yeah, of course the match didn't suck. Penta is the greatest. I will bare knuckles Fight Club box you if you
In a no
disagree.
holds barred match.
In a no hearts, no holds barred. Oh, there were chairs. Maybe that's it. There were
Chairs are
chairs.
allowed in a no DQ match, though. Like you don't like it.
But I mean, they used it a lot. So like,
Oh well,
like,
that must have been it. No
like they were,
furniture barred, I guess.
yeah, they were like, hey, should we hold off on the chair? No, holds barred. So I mean, there you go. I don't know, man. I don't know, but there was a lot of chairs. And of course, Penta won the match because he's awesome. Again, not being sarcastic. I know that I have sometimes a bit of a dry humor, and oh yes, sarcasm is my middle name, but not in this regard. Penta is the best. Sorry, Rey Mysterio, you were great. You were great once. You're still great. You're just not greater than Penta. Sorry. Penta, all the way. Penta 2025.
Cero Miedo forever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Seattle, Miedo. Penta 2029. I don't know. All right,
Well,
2028. Sorry.
to kind of give a rundown of this match, I'll hit some of the high spots. Penta in the first half of the match lands a somersault plancha to Kaiser outside the ring. He removes the hood of the announce table, and they both get up on the table and they start exchanging chops. And I was like, that's interesting to just exchange chops on top of the table. But yeah, well, okay. And then Kaiser eye-rakes Penta, which allows him to pick him up and do a rolling Death Valley driver. And announce table moves are, I don't know if they're better or worse when the table doesn't comply, because these new tables are like ultra reinforced. So the table doesn't break, and it kind of looked like Kaiser more or less rolled off of Penta and directly to the floor. So it looked like Kaiser got the worst of his own move.
Yeah.
And then I want to say another highlight was a big flying cross body block from Penta, and that was kind of the high spots of the first half of the match. And then as we get to the second half of the match, it looks like Kaiser is kind of getting the upper hand, especially since he's hit Penta with a few chair shots now. And he starts choking him in the corner, saying, "I'll make you feel fear." And Penta, fights back as the crowd sort of starts chanting Cero Miedo. And he ends up clearing enough space from that choke to do the Cero Miedo sign and then flips the chair away from Kaiser. And Kaiser tries to grab him for his twisting DDT finish, the same exact move that they will call for Alexa Bliss, the Sister Abigail. It's not. But Penta counters with a very fast sacrifice, which is that huge arm snap that he does. And he did it really quick, and it looked kind of mean. And at that point, Penta has seized control, and he picks up the chair, and you've got Kaiser begging for mercy. And Kaiser attempts another eye rake, but Penta just super kicks the brains out of him. And then he ends up drilling Kaiser with a Mexican destroyer on the chair. And then he ends up picking up Kaiser and doing the Penta driver. And this particular move I thought looked a little extra brutal, because it looked to me when they showed it like he was trying not to necessarily hit Kaiser directly on the chair, but it looked like he got the back of Kaiser's head and neck with the chair leg. Yeah. And so I was like, oh shit, is Kaiser actually going to be okay? They didn't make any comment about it, so I assume he was all right. But like as he was rolling away, you could see Kaiser like holding the back of his neck, and I'm like, yeah, you ate a whole bunch of chair leg, my dude.
You ate a whole bunch of chair leg. Well, yeah,
he was just yum yum. And after the match, as Penta is making his way back up the ramp, he's met halfway by Kathy Kelly. And he gives a big shout out to Brussels. And I think Kathy Kelly was asking him what's next. And he says the new Penta era is here and alive in every continent in the world. And he says that he wants a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. He added a whole lot of other stuff in Spanish, but yes. I don't speak Spanish, at least not very well. So I only understood the part where he said, "Yo soy Penta Cero Miedo." So that's all I got.
Well done.
Thank you. And so Penta wins the first match of the night. And would you like to discuss the next segment?
Sure would. Excuse me. Let me try that again. After that, we'll head backstage where Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez are backstage, and they're wishing Finn good luck on his Intercontinental Championship match. Finn says that he wishes them good luck too, because Liv Morgan has her match with Jade Cargill. And I think Raquel has a match with someone or something, but he basically is congratulating Liv and telling her that Jade Cargill's going to be another stop on her Liv Morgan revenge tour, which I thought was officially over. I thought that Liv said that it was over, so I'm not really sure.
This is new revenge for, I guess, being falsely accused for months.
Oh. Okay, well that's ridiculous. But whatever, any reason, ladies, to fight, any reason to go fisticuffs. Oh, let's see. What else? Oh, Dominic. Dominic Mysterio showed up, and Finn was all happy to see him, and uh, giving him the my boy, that kind of business. But then Dominic started talking stupid. He said he basically said that he had been talking to some people. And remember when Finn was absolutely against adding a new member? Well, apparently Dominic doesn't remember that. And just went straight ahead on with plans to add somebody to just flat out, let me just tell you who I have in mind. Which was Penta, which again, you know, uh, Finn didn't find that very amusing at all. So now he's upset with Dominic and called him a snake.
Well, that was
Because
quick.
that was really the absolute last person that he should have been inviting into the mix. And Dominic said that he didn't know that Penta wanted to go for the international championship that he was going for, that Finn was going for tonight. So, and Carlito was there just to say something other than that's not cool, or that is cool, so that's good. But he was there to deliver his one line of I think it was essentially "You don't watch the show," which I thought was pretty funny. I'll give him that. He
Yeah.
if they just, I don't know, maybe they just got the reins on him or something. I don't know, but if they just fucking just let him be funny, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, I definitely think there's more that can be done with Carlito than what they do with Carlito, at least as a
Yeah,
personality backstage.
yeah. Like, is he injured or something? Like, why is he not in any matches?
Because they only distill it down to like what 5 or 6 now on Raw, and nobody wants
Yeah,
one of them to be a Carlito match.
that's true.
That's not cool.
That's not fun or entertaining. But that does lead us into our second match, which is Dakota Kai versus Ivy Now. Sorry guys, I got your hopes up, and then I read who it was. Sorry, no, I'm kidding.
Aw.
No, I'm kidding. But I will say that this was probably the most mm, unentertaining of the match. Like, this was just there's gonna be a theme tonight. These were okay matches. Like that, they were all just okay. The match with Penta and Kaiser was a little bit above okay, because, as I said before, it's fucking Penta. That's it. Okay. But this match was below just okay. It was meh. Mid, I mean, maybe slightly below mid, and I'm gonna say it's because they keep trying to force us to believe that someone with the physique of Ivy Nile would be bum rushed by somebody with the physique of Dakota Kai. And I mean, no disrespect to Dakota Kai, she's a great wrestler. But what I'm saying is, they keep trying to get me to disbelieve illusion that Ivy Nile would get a punch from Dakota Kai's spaghetti arms, and that would just make her fly 10 feet across the ring. And when she hit the rope explodes, and that's the end of the match, the end of the show. We got to call medic because 3 or 4 people in the front row are injured, and you can't get me to believe this. I'm sorry. And then it's almost as if, well, they feel like, yeah, we can't really make this believable, so let's just make Ivy slightly dumb as well. Let's just
Yep.
have her do stuff that makes no sense. Like, first of all, she didn't even know Chad Gable was gonna be out there for her match. So whenever this person shows up or something happens, why is your attention taken off of your match? In general, period. Just I don't understand why your attention is on anything else other than what's happening in the ring.
Yeah. No.
Anything. I don't get it. She's out here watching the fiasco, and another thing. Why do we need all these dudes? Why do we need the Creed brothers? Why do we need Chad Gable? Why do we need Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee? Why do we need all these dudes to make their match, Ivy now and Dakota, to make their match interesting?
Well, that's a good thing to point out. I guess they wanted to show Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio interfering, and I feel like this match existed exclusively to further whatever that storyline is. And so they end up coming out and kind of interacting with the Creeds and Chad Gable to some extent, and it doesn't make sense for all of the men to be out there for a match since
No.
WWE won't let them do anything to anybody.
Yeah.
Whereas if the women are out there, they can interfere directly.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There were a lot of reasons I don't like this match. One, for the same reasons you stated, I just don't find Dakota Kai to be believable as a combatant because she weighs like 3 ounces and is so small. And then you put her in there with Ivy Nile, who might not be a whole lot taller, but physique-wise, she's the Incredible Hulk versus Bruce Banner's, Dakota Kai.
Yeah. Yep.
And so it looks extra ridiculous. Like, so I just have no buy-in for this match because it's such a physical mismatch. And on top of that, I feel like we've seen Ivy Nile versus Dakota, so nothing new there. And I also agree that I'm tired of the way they can kind of explain that Dakota stands a chance in hell, being the way they always do it when it's such a physical mismatch, and that is that the bigger combatant is suddenly slow and fucking stupid.
Yep.
And it just gets old. It's super played out, and I can only assume that Dakota Kai is probably on like probation because she was so injury prone, and this is kind of her final push, and so they're trying to give it to her, but it's like I don't know. I mean, if that's the case, cool story, but as a wrestling watcher, these matches are not compelling to me in the slightest.
Yeah.
And the fact that Dakota Kai, like, it's not bringing Kai up as much as it is burying Ivy Nile. And it does that for a couple reasons, because Ivy Nile has now 3 straight losses, 2 to Dakota Kai and 1 to Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah.
And so she's buried as shit. Like, she's this hulking woman who looks like she just cannot get it done in the ring. Congratulations, you are now Chad Gable.
Yep.
Couple that with the fact that for no reason other than because Nile hits her finisher clean on Dakota Kai and Kai still kicks out. Like, this isn't a big time match. This isn't like high stakes for the title or anything. Like, I feel like lately WWE is burying the shit out of finishing moves. Between like this and like what we saw in Elimination. Well, no, it wasn't Elimination Chamber, was it? It was with that cage match between Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
I think it was on Raw the week before, where Seth and CM Punk just relentlessly buried their own finisher moves against one another. Like, those moves are just wildly ineffective. And that will play actually into a Seth promo thing later tonight.
Boy, howdy.
But there's a lot of reasons that I was just displeased with this match. Not exclusively because of who was in it, but because of, like, what it's doing. Yeah, so I wasn't feeling it. Did you want to finish kind of the recap? Because like outside of Dakota hitting her finish, or not Dakota, but yeah, outside of like, some finishers being thrown and kicked out of, and then whatnot, there's not really any high spots to this match.
Yeah.
This
No.
was a bad match in my opinion for a lot of reasons. Not because of what the performers did, but because of how it was booked and produced, and how it's the impact it's having, and just I've already explained it, so I'm done. I'm done with this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I'm done. I don't have anything else to say about this match.
All right. Well, other than the finish, which was Dakota Kai wins with the go-to kick, pretty cleanly over Ivy Nile, and she is buried as shit.
Yep.
And that brings us to the next segment. Adam Pearce is out in the middle of the ring.
The
And he's
worst manager ever.
worst ever. And you have a good point to make about that too later in the evening.
Mhm.
But he's out there with the contract and a table and some chairs because Io and Bianca are going to sign for their matchup coming at WrestleMania. And I think we were bombarded with like commercials. I think we saw a little bit of Io's entrance and like none of Bianca's. And so by the time it all starts, Adam and Bianca and Io are pretty much just there.
Yeah.
And he says, ladies, you know how this works. 2 signatures on the contract makes it official for the Women's World Championship match at WrestleMania. The floor is yours. And Io goes on to say that Bianca or Rhea will not disrespect her again. No one will because she's the world champion. And after WrestleMania, she'll still be the world champion. And then she signs the contract. And Bianca says, Io, I have all the respect in the world for you. I really do. But last week I gave you a pass because it was low-key my fault. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I told Rhea. If you think you get to put your hands on me again and I do nothing about it, you don't know me at all. Actually, I think she flubbed her line. Didn't she? Didn't she say, then you know me at all?
Yeah.
And then she followed it up with, you don't know me. Like she corrected it in real time. Well done.
She did. Yep.
So at WrestleMania, she's like, you'll
Sorry,
find out
guys.
who I
English
am.
isn't her first language.
She's the EST of WWE and will be the new Women's World Championship. And then she signs the contract and the match is made official. Pierce is all like, yeah, I appreciate your professionalism because no fight or any bullshit broke out. And then Rhea Ripley's music hits, and Pierce immediately starts calling for the referee corps. like all we heard, like, this is my brutality, and he's like, referees. Like he just knew it couldn't go that smooth. And Rhea makes her way out there. And everybody's asking her before she picks up the mic. Everybody in the ring is like, what are you doing out here? And she says, what am I doing out here? What are you guys doing out here? Because Io slapped me in the face last week. I'm not just going to sit back and do nothing about it. And Bianca over here, I mean, how in the hell are you standing here acting like nothing happened? And Bianca's like, well, I am here to sign the contract for WrestleMania. That's what I'm doing here. Ooh, sick burn, Bianca.
Like, I'm out here to sign the contract. Like, that's duh, bitch.
It would have been great if she'd been like, just pointed at the contract and looked at her like, duh.
Are you stupid or are you dumb? Oh my god.
And so Rhea says, that's funny coming from me because you had no business being out there during my championship match, but you were, Bianca. So I'm going to take the page out of your book and I'm simply here to watch. And Bianca's like, oh, you're here to watch? Well, I guess you're going to be watching WrestleMania. But since you want to be in my business, how about I make you my business right now? I'm getting tired of you. And at this point,
I'm getting tired of you. I like
at this point, oh, my little attitude.
Yeah.
At this point, Io's getting annoyed because like she's no longer the center of attention and she's the world champion. So she comes around at this point. Bianca and Rhea are kind of getting in each other's faces. And Bianca immediately pie faces Io. And Rhea then headbutts Bianca and kicks Io in the gut. and the headbutt puts Bianca up on the table that was out there, the signing table, the super steel reinforced signing table.
Mm-hmm.
And after kicking Io in the gut, Rhea then hoists her up mostly like she had to do the lift and then some more lift because she didn't quite get her all the way there in the first
Yeah.
pull. And then she power bombs Io onto Bianca on the table, and the table just is not here for that bullshit, so it doesn't break.
Nope.
And then Rhea looks over at the contract that's now on the ring floor and picks it up and puts her name on it, and then walks away with the contract with Pierce behind her, going, "That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works." And that ends that particular segment.
Pardon me, the air is dry.
It's A-okay.
But yeah, I found that segment pretty freaking entertaining. Even though later Pierce just gets on my nerves. Like when I call him the worst manager, I have my reasons, and we'll get into that. We'll get into that when the time comes.
Did you want to speak to the Yeet Man?
Oh, you mean the next thing that happens?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I do. After that nice little segment of girl drama, they found Jey Uso in Graffiti Alley in like the darkest corner of whatever arena they were in. And
Graffiti
like
Alley, they call it.
like he just comes out of the shadow like a dealer, you know? And he's all, yeah, main event Jey Uso is now in your seat. Not as creepy. But I mean I just felt the creepy vibe. I'm like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you coming from? And where is your shirt, Mr. Uso? Questions that I need answers to. But he says, you know, he's been beating his dead horse about not being himself lately. You know, his mom's been playing tricks on him. And now he flew all the way, halfway across the world to whoop somebody's ass, and that person tonight is Austin Theory. Yay. Anyway, he said, it continues just like WrestleMania. It's me and you, Gunther. When I shock the world and I become the world heavyweight champion. So please, Oos, hit my. But he couldn't finish that. He couldn't finish to hit my music because here comes Gunther and all his giant man angriness.
Yeah, see, Jay's mistake was that Gunter doesn't just hide underneath bridges, but also as you pass into Gorilla, he's hiding there, and he wants Jay to pay the toll.
Yeah. Yeah. So he successfully protected his proverbial bridge. He comes out, and then him and Jay get into a shoving slash verbal assault match. Whilst several referees and other officials come out to put some space in between the two. Anyway,
Indeed.
he continues his walk to the ring, which leads us to our third match of the night: Jey Uso versus Austin Theory with Grayson Waller.
Mhm.
And boy, this was a short match.
Yeah, you
I
remember
think
that time you asked why doesn't WWE do squash matches?
I'm
It's like
okay
they
with it.
heard you.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay with them doing squash matches. I just don't like them using other superstars to do it. The one thing that I liked about one of the things that I like about AEW, even though we very seldom talk about them now because man, that's a whole nother topic. Let me get back on track.
Whole other topic.
Yeah. I don't want to digressy. So, I'll get back to it. But what I like about AEW though, honestly, one of the things is whenever they do a squash match, it's a local talent or it's some no name backstage, and I don't know why WWE just I feel like they used to do that. I don't know. Maybe mini marijuana sticks have shrouded my memory. I don't know. In hazy smoke. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I wish they would do that more often. I don't know how I feel about them using Austin Theory for this. I mean, oh how the mighty have fallen, right?
Yeah, yeah. There was a point in time where Waller was a hot commodity coming out of NXT, and Theory was like up and comer. And I
Yeah.
feel I don't know why they're doing it to Waller, but like Theory, I feel, and we've said this before, so I won't elaborate on it too far. But like
Yeah.
because he was a McMahon pick, he's being punished.
Yeah, Waller's like getting destroyed by proxy, but I mean they're the ones who put those two together, so I just don't know what they're planning to do here. There was a moment when I thought there was gonna be a turn for Austin Theory. I thought they were gonna break him and Grayson up. But that they've done that at least twice that I can think of, but that it just keeps falling short with whatever they're trying to do. So I don't know. But essentially this was a match that um was shorter than Jay's entrance.
Yep.
Um, and it was all set up to once again have Gunther come out and try to put the sleeper onto Jay. Um, that was really because I mean this match. I think this match is maybe a minute 30, maybe
If that.
if
If
that.
that.
Yeah. And then after he does away with Austin, Grayson comes into the ring. He gets dealt with, and then right after that, Gunther tries to come up behind him and choke him out, and he gets the hold, but then Jay runs him into the corner. Excuse me, the corner of the ring, corner pole, and then
Yep.
he gets the upper hand finally. But all of that was just all of that. The match with Austin, Grayson, everything was just so they could set up the confrontation between Jay and Gunther again. So
Yeah. And have a reason to do the yeet 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 for the crowd.
yeah, that's it. And because the audience loved it. Now, was that a bad thing? No, no. The only complaint that I have here is I wish they would have used uh a no name or somebody to do this job because this literal job because
Yeah.
it I don't like to see any superstar get this kind of treatment. And I don't know what Austin Theory has done. Um, I
What's
mean, I feel like he's on his way out. Like this is some shit they would have done to Giovanni. And where is he? So I don't know. I don't know.
yeah.
But other than
Um,
that, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, I just wanted to speak to some of the salient
Yeah,
points that
yeah.
you're making.
Please.
Um, it's surprising, right? Because WWE with more television time than they've ever had, right? They've I mean, just with wrestling programs. I'm not even talking about looking for group. I'm sorry, LFG and Evolve that they're spinning off of with or Speed on X.
Yeah.
But just with SmackDown being a 3 hour kind of a deal, and with Raw being like a 3 hour kind of a deal, at least for a while, they've got more television time than they've had, and yet they have so little actual space for the wrestling and the matches in all of that television time that they've practically neutralized. I mean, practically. I mean, there's still some, but there's definitely no bottom card, and the middle card is shrinking to non-existent. Like, it's going to be where it's just going to be nothing but top card roster is all we have time for now.
Yeah.
And so that's probably why they're not bothering with any kind of local talent. And I think it's what's happening, unfortunately, to Theory and Waller. And I mean, they're not even doing anything in like a tag team kind of like they're not even doing anything for the tag team belts or on the tag roster. They're just two chuckle fucks who seem to show up and offer like jobbing singles matches.
Yep.
And this, I mean, like, if I went line by line and play by play, this match was basically bell rings, Jay's distracted briefly by Waller, Theory takes him to the corner, punches him once or twice, then Jay ducks, a couple of clotheslines from Theory, gets speared and immediately 1-2-3'd, and then when Waller tries to come in, he's super kicked, and that's the match. Everything after that, oh, sorry, there is something worth mentioning. Jay then tried to do a somersault plancha to the two of them, and he completely fucks it up. Like, he gets caught on the top rope and like somersaults, hitting back first on the ring apron, but he immediately jumps up and like mouths that he's all right, and that's when Gunter comes in and starts choking him out. So like the match might have taken like from the time the bell rang maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was an absolute squash. And I agree with you. I think it was exclusively for two reasons. One, to have Jay and Gunter do their thing. And two, so that the Brussels audience got the benefit of Jay Uso coming out and doing the yeet. Getting to yeet with Jay Uso for the crowd.
Yep. That was it.
Yep. Following that match, we have Adam Pearce. Oh, I'm actually going to defer that to you. There was also a Braun Breaker video package. Cool. But yeah, this is the part where you can explain your issue with Adam Pearce.
My issue with Adam Pearce is, first of all, I get it. They're trying. I know it's just a role that he is playing. But he does so horribly, man. Like if he was anyone's freaking manager in real life, he would have so many HR complaints. And it would mainly be women, because for some reason, not only does he yell back at men, right? That's one thing. He'll yell back at the guys. If the guys get loud, he'll get loud at them. But when it comes to the women, he has to also belittle them. He also has to say something about their behavior that's pissing him off, or how he needs to have a drink, or how it's like talking to a child, because that's, and see, and it's not because I mean, I'll look at what's written about that particular segment, and they'll say something like, Adam Pearce tells Rhea Ripley that she's acting like a child. No, he didn't say that she's acting like a child. He didn't even say it to her. He dismissively says to himself, basically, it's like talking to a child. That's what he said, which to me is a tad bit fucking worse. And then he talks to her and tells her, that's not how it works. You can't just sign your name onto a contract. And she's like, why not? Put me in the match. I signed that bad boy. Get me into it. And he's just not having it. Now, other than him being ridiculous when it comes to his role as a manager in this particular on this particular show, I like Rhea's, demandiness. I like the fact that she really wants to be in this match. And I'm not gonna lie, I would love to see her and Bianca go at it. I mean, I like to see her and Io go at it too, but I mean, it's been a minute since I've seen her and Bianca, and I'd be here for it. I do feel like there may be some interruptions from Naomi in this particular match. The three-way match that I know will inevitably become a thing. I just don't know to what degree and what that means for anybody. Like, I don't even know if this is for the belt. Yeah, this is for the belt, isn't it? So now Rhea wants to be added into this so that she could also. Okay, yeah. So I think that Naomi will definitely cost Bianca her shot here. Between Rhea and Io, not sure. I think Io's gonna retain for this particular match. But this little segment here that leads us into the inevitable 3-woman match for that belt was good, save Adam not knowing how to play this particular role. Like, I don't care. You want to be the manager that yells at your employees? Fine. That's cool. But just the fact that he singles out women to talk to them like they're garbage. Because if you guys can find me a segment where he does that same thing to a guy, like Braun Breaker, I want to see him say that to Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
I want to see him say something like that to just pick a dude. Pick a freaking dude. You gonna say it to Chad Gable? Sure. You could talk smack to Akira. Okay, sure. But I want to see you say the stuff that you say to your female superstars, to other guys,
Yeah.
to your male superstars. I doubt it. I doubt you would, because there would be no reason for them not to go. I will fucking end you, my dude. I mean, because honestly,
Yeah.
it ain't like he hasn't gotten his ass handed to him in the ring before. And if he talked to the male wrestlers the way he did to the female, I think that would happen a lot more often. So that's why he doesn't do it. This is my opinion. Either way it goes, if you're not gonna do that, then shut up and stop talking to women like that.
Well, I don't know if that's Adam Pierce or if that's his character, but there has consistently been him showing kind of a sexist attitude, like where he'll talk down to the women more so
Yeah.
than he does to the male talent. And it's a pretty big, like, Rhea Ripley is probably like the hottest female wrestler on the planet right now. And I don't mean hot as in like, ooh, she's hot. I mean, she
I do.
is, but that's not what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
But I mean, like, as far as the best female wrestler with the most pop and the most fans and the most dominant performances in the ring, she's good on the mic. She is it. She is the top of the fucking card across any promotion. That said, Adam Pierce telling Rhea Ripley that she's acting like a petulant child just comes across as goddamn condescending to Rhea Bloody Ripley. I mean, just for fuck's sake, she should have kicked him and goddamn hit him with the riptide. And then maybe he'd think twice about that kind of shit. But historically, we've seen that. We've seen him do that with Liv. We saw him do that way back in the day when Sonya Deville was like a co-manager with him. He did that to her all the time.
Yep.
So it's consistent enough that either Adam, the man, is legitimately chauvinistic and doesn't even realize it. Like, he just has two different modes. Like, here's how I talk to women and here's how I talk to men. Or he's consistent with his character being that way. I don't know which it is.
Well, I mean, I'll say that he's consistent with his character. I'm okay with that. I'm not gonna. I will say that I don't know him. I doubt this is the real dude, but I will say that he has chosen to play this character this particular way, and maybe he should reconsider. Think about that, because I mean, talking to the women, and I mean, you're only doing it because you know that most of them can't whoop that ass. I don't know. Nia Jax might be able to take you to Destructionville. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I'd be careful. Rhea could, Nia could, Bianca and Jade absolutely could. Hell, maybe even Naomi. Io probably could. I mean, so if you're talking down to them because you think they're weaker than you, wait till they kick your ass. That's going to be a good time. They could make a whole angle out of that. Like, the entire women's locker room gets sick of Adam's shit, and they all take turns beating the crap out of him in the middle of the ring.
I would actually pay good money for that.
Right? But I agree with you. I also agree with your assessment that by turning this into a triple threat match, it absolutely invites interference from both Naomi and Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
And as far as who ends up winning, I don't know if it'll be Rhea or Io, but I do think that Naomi and whatnot will end up maybe costing Bianca. That's at least my speculation at this point.
Yeah.
Now, whether Io retains or Rhea gets it back, who can say?
I don't know. I don't think it's time for Io to give up the belt. But then again, I didn't think it was time for Rhea to give up the belt. She had just gotten it. So who can say?
Yeah,
That's
I
another thing that
feel
WWE is good for. They are quickly giving up the women's belts. They'll still change those out real quick, but not so much with the guys.
well, I I don't know. Because
Not so. I mean, I'm not
recently
not so much. I'm
recently we
not.
saw the
Yeah,
IC championship and the men's tag championships on television move as well. So I think they're just trying to keep us like guessing, and I'm cool with that. If they want to have title mobility across the board, I'm on board for that. But I agree with you. It felt like it was kind of sudden. Like Rhea just got the belt back and then just lost it again, and now Io's going to have it. So the question becomes: will Io hang on to it, or will Rhea get it, or will somehow Bianca Belair manage to pull it off amidst her, feuding friends of Jade and Naomi, or will that be so much of a distraction? Because it's guaranteed. Now it's a triple threat. There's no DQs. It's guaranteed. There's going to be interference from Naomi. I agree
oh
with you
for
there.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, we've got another triple threat in the making. I mean, I absolutely called that it's going to be Roman and CM Punk and Seth, having a WrestleMania moment.
Yeah. You did call it.
But we shall see. I agree with you. I found it entertaining. I wish the tables, like both the announce table and the table they used in that contract signing, were playing along. Because I think I'm less impressed with table moves when the tables don't fucking break.
Yeah, these are some unbothered tables, man.
Yeah.
These tables were so in their zone, and they were unbreakable. Yeah, they were not here for our amusement.
No, no, those tables were not playing along. They were like, mm-mm. We're standing our ground.
Yeah,
Um,
literally.
but following that particular segment brings us to the fourth match of the night, which is Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee of the LWO versus American Made. Theoretically, this is Brutus and Julius, but at some point, I absolutely expected Chad Gable would show up. He had already made an appearance on the night, or if not Chad Gable, the mystery luchador that is very much like Chad Gable.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this match?
Uh, you know, it's pretty much the same as all the matches tonight. It was okay. It was an okay match. And again, I feel like WWE has been doing this thing where they're just having basic ass matches to 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 then follow up with a promo that they've worked really hard on. If that makes any sense.
It does. I'm not sure I would agree with this one because I remember when we watched this match, we both thought it was one of the better matches of the night. Because
Oh no, hold on.
oh, okay.
Excuse me. There were levels to this, and as I said earlier, the match between Penta and Kaiser, while being I mean like it was a good match, but none of these matches were like super like, oh my god, I can't wait to tell somebody I know about the stuff that I saw.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't wait to
yeah.
tell them. Honestly, these were on a scale of 1 to 10. All of these matches were about even, about 5 or 6. Like none of them were like, oh man. So this was a good match. Yes. Um, but like I was into it, right? And I was really invested while we were watching it because honestly, yeah, it was one of the best ones. Like I'm like, finally, somebody's doing something. I like I don't even know how else to put it, but I knew that they were gonna come out and there was gonna be some heat. They've been trying to build this thing for a minute. So they came out and they just they ran with the energy that they had from earlier, and it was good. It was a good match, but it was okay. I'm like it was. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I mean, none of
I
these
do.
matches really wowed me,
Yeah,
and
it
none of
wasn't.
them were so bad that I just couldn't watch it. But everything that I saw Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee do with American Made, I've seen them do before. And I've seen the Creed brothers in better matches. And I've seen Rey Mysterio in better matches. Dragon Lee, I've seen Dragon Lee in matches.
Well, see, for me, I felt refreshed a little bit because usually it's a little closer. But in this one, I feel like Dragon Lee and Mysterio, because we jokingly called, and I mean, I say it's a joke, but this has been true for a long time. We jokingly call the LWO the losing world order because all they have done since they've been formed is lose.
Yeah,
and except for maybe Rey Mysterio. So tonight,
who ends up carrying the whole team.
Right, exactly. But tonight, like both Mysterio and Dragon Lee were solid in their performances, and Dragon didn't screw up anything, which unfortunately has been the case with several of his matches in the past.
Yeah.
So it was a solid performance and a dominant victory for Mysterio and Julius. The first part of the match, like the LWO is kind of, at least at the very beginning, they're handing Brutus and Julius their asses. And I do want to talk about the fate of Ivy and Julius and Brutus in a second. But it wasn't until we kind of get to one of the numerous commercial breaks that American Made sort of seizes control with Julius hitting the rolling mat return followed by a sliding lariat. And then it cuts to commercial break. And then when we come back, Brutus and Dragon Lee both tag out, and Mysterio and Julius are tagged in, so it's almost like a match reset at that point. And that leads us into kind of the second part of the match, where Mysterio and Dragon Lee just like handed them both their asses. I mean, Mysterio, there was a point where Brutus looked like he was going to powerbomb Mysterio into the ring. But instead, he threw him to Julius, and it looked like, okay, well, maybe Julius is going to slam him. Instead, Mysterio hits Julius with a spinning DDT, and the way Julius sold it, I was like, he dead. So Mysterio, like, annihilated Julius Creed. And then he proceeds to, like, just kick the life out of and run circles around Brutus. And I want to say that pretty much from that point onward, it's Mysterio just running the ropes with Brutus. And he ends up blocking a super kick and then hitting a flying Hurricane Rana. And at some point, Brutus swaps out with Julius, because I remember when Mysterio hit that Hurricane Rana that he usually uses to set up the 619. Like, Julius nearly bounced off the middle rope almost back up onto his feet. Like, he bounced a lot off of that. And then Mysterio hits the 619 and drops the dime, and it's 1, 2, 3. So, like, LWO kicked the shit out of the Creed brothers.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
Then following that up, after Mysterio picks up the victory, we get the mysterious, totally not Chad Gable luchador that comes into the ring and attacks them from behind and proceeds to kick the crap out of both members of the LWO, hitting a flying headbutt on Mysterio and some German suplexes to Lee. And he tries to German suplex Mysterio, and I don't think it works out for him. And I mean, he just absolutely lays them out until security, because he's not actually Chad Gable or a wrestler here at the WWE. He's just some crazy lucha fan that has entered the ring and whooped the shit out of the LWO. Security chases him, and so he takes out running. And that's how we end that match. And of course you get Michael and Corey like, Michael's like, that's totally Chad Gable, right? Like, you know that, right? And Corey's like, I don't know anything, and let's not speculate unnecessarily. I mean, last week I saw a man dressed just like that behind Chad Gable, so it can't be him. And Cole's like, sure, yeah. That's why the mask says American Made in English, right, instead of in Spanish, and that's kind of where they left it. So that's sort of the running gag. But at least for this running gag, they gave like Julius and the Creed brothers and the LWO gave us a decent match. I agree with you.
Yeah.
We've seen them in better, but it was a solid match. And
It was, yeah.
the part that I wanted to speak to, I feel like they took Chad Gable away from the Alpha Academy in order for Chad Gable to be able to like actually wrestle some matches. And then he paired them with Brutus and Julius, the Creed brothers, and Ivy Nile so that he could actually be working with some real in-ring performers. Young, hungry, very talented in-ring performers. But where have we gone? It's still kind of just a joke group that does nothing but job, even though Julius and Brutus, as young as they are in their careers, are outstanding, and Ivy Nile is better than what we've seen. So I'm really confused about what you're trying to do. Like, I thought maybe you paired them all together to elevate Chad up out of the mid card.
Yeah.
But instead, you just made the Creed brothers and Ivy more of the mid card. So I don't know, and they're hard to take seriously when they're losing.
Yeah.
And they've been on a bad losing streak, American Made have. So I really don't know what their direction is for that group.
Yeah.
And the Alpha Academy only shows up in like joke skits and for commercials and like online stuff. So I don't know what their plans are for any of that. I feel like they're most confused about what to do, if anything, with their mid-card talent.
Yeah.
Over at WWE right now. But that was just what I wanted to speak to with regards to, you know, the fate of the Creeds and Ivy Nile and to a lesser extent Chad Gable. Like, you know, not all that long ago you were trying to make us take Chad Gable very seriously as a competitor. You had him in that thing with Gunter and then was, you know, training Sammy in some hellacious matches with Sammy, and he turned heel. And it's like, but he's no more, at least not yet. Maybe we're getting there with this lucha shit, but up until this point, like, Chad and his American Made group are a joke.
Yeah.
And they really shouldn't be. Like, there's so much talented wrestler in that group. Like collectively, they could probably run like the whole WWE if they were allowed to actually perform like they can perform.
Yeah.
I don't know why they are being held with like thumbs on them so badly. I can only assume that they either have a longer term plan that they'll eventually get to, or they don't fucking know what to do with them, so they just do whatever they can come up with on the fly.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I hope they figure it out real freaking soon, because I don't want them ending up on the chopping block because of the position that they were put in.
Yeah, that seems incredibly unfair, but these days, I mean, we just talked about how they're cutting talent, and they're cutting talent even that's on the injured reserve, so fair doesn't factor into it. Like,
Yeah. Nope.
You know, so good luck is all I've got for you, because the Creeds are insanely talented. Chad Gable is also insanely talented, and I tend to figure Ivy Nile is very talented as well. She's certainly jacked. It would be a terrible waste if those four didn't get something.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my take on that. Following that victory by Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, we are it makes me tired already, and this usually never happens. Like, I think Seth Rollins is the GOAT. One of the GOATs, if not the GOAT of the WWE in the last 20 years. And unfortunately, Seth Rollins comes out for the most long-winded and just dragging on promo, because the Brussels crowd is extremely vocal tonight. And so Seth Rollins uses like 9 trillion minutes of the opening to have them just sing his song, and there's so much of the and it's it made me weary. And between that and how long it was taking and commercial breaks that I was fast forwarding through, I felt like I was looking at Seth Rollins do nothing but sing along with Brussels for like 100 years. Like, I think the content of his message was, he's got, some beef with CM Punk, and then he's got beef with Roman Reigns, and next week at SmackDown, the OTC and CM Punk are going to be there, so I guess I'm going to be there too, because what would make this even more volatile is the architect, and how, Roman Reigns needs his architect even now. Something along those lines. It was really a rough time trying to follow this because it was just dragging on so much. I think I got that right, but I mean, he basically said 1 minute's worth of content across what felt like half an hour. It fucking dragged on. It was brutal. And I say that as someone who holds Seth Rollins in an extremely high regard. I don't know if they just needed to kill time or some shit, or if maybe there was another match that couldn't go on. I don't know. Or if somebody wrote this and it was the most verbose bullshit ever. Like, whoever is writing over there that has this, like, verbal diarrhea action, thinking that more is better instead of brevity is the spirit of wit, needs to be immediately super fired. I don't care if he personally works for The Rock.
Yeah.
But it's killing me. The promos lately have sucked so much fucking fat cock. Like, it's so bad. That they made me really, really get exhausted with a Seth Rollins promo, and it blows my mind that they could get me there because I have loved Seth since he was back in the Shield. Yeah. So it kills me that it made me feel that way. Your thoughts?
This was another incoherent ramble, and I'm not really sure who is. I don't know. I don't know if it was because Seth didn't like what was written for him, or he just wants. Oh no! I just said whatever the case, it was bad. And I hope you got that.
Yeah, I did. I hear you now.
Okay, good. Completely. Just like as I look here, I see 3 paragraphs that are all essentially the same thing, and it just went around in a circle. Like it was just, as far as Seth Rollins promos are concerned, this one was probably one of the worst. It was almost like they gave him more time than he needed, and he didn't know what to do with it. So he just started, like, I'll just double back to what I started with originally. So yeah, not a great fan. Tonight's promos, when people got the mic, it was kind of a downer, which is interesting because that's from three of the goats on the mic, and it was like woof.
Yeah, I agree. Let me ask you something, because this just occurred to me. Do you think that everybody was jet lagged as shit getting to Brussels?
That's a huge possibility, but I mean, they were already.
I'm wondering.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I'm wondering that because, like, between Rhea struggling to lift Io for the powerbomb, Jey Uso flubbing the dive, I could see those things happening if everybody was kind of tired.
Yeah, probably.
So I'm just wondering if that was a factor.
Probably, I'm not sure, because from what I understand, they're what, 2 or 3 weeks into their UK tour. So I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe they were just tired. Everybody has that day, So
yeah, I do.
You're right.
It seemed a little pronounced, but it could be that, right? Because a lot of times, like, for their normal shows, they're flying around inside of the United States, right? Yeah. And so at most, you're looking at an hour or 2 difference if you go coast to coast. And meanwhile, it could take I mean, it could take a week or two for people to adjust if, the time is wildly different. So I don't know. I'm trying to find a reason why it was especially kind of bad in some spots on this particular episode. And so I'm throwing it out there. Like maybe it was jet lag. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just trying to find a reason.
Yeah. I hear you.
But you felt the same way that Seth Rollins promo just was like, ugh,
Oh
on
my
this one.
god. Yeah. No, it was underwhelming to say the least.
Yeah. Following that, like uh, eternal promo. Um, we're told that next week on Raw, Lyra Valkyria will put her Women's Intercontinental Championship on the line against Raquel Rodriguez. So that might have been what the Judgment Day were referring to
Yeah,
earlier for
yeah.
her. And that CM Punk will be in the house. Whoop-de fucking do. And Jey Uso and I guess a partner of his choosing will go against A-Town Down. And
Yeah.
and Cody Rhodes and John Cena will once again be under one roof. I am struggling to be at all interested in that after John Cena's promo tonight. Like I liked that Cody Rhodes basically told him to go fuck himself, go find the real John Cena because whatever this is, I can't see this at WrestleMania, or it's going to be a crap main
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess we'll see how things develop there because, yeah, it's not building like. If I pick things that have built my interest for WrestleMania matches that we know are coming, I'm getting kind of tired of seeing Jey Uso say, I'm doubting myself because Gunter keeps choking me out. And I'm tired of him being surprised after every one of his appearances after the third or fourth time that Gunter is going to hop in the ring and attempt to choke you out. Like we get it, but it's like the exact same MO every single time it's happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
To a T. So,
Yeah.
And if I think of one that made me slightly interested, I'm interested in the triple threat that happened with the women's championship. I'm interested in what I presume will ultimately be a triple threat with CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Although Seth Rollins' promo did nothing to help me out with that, I was interested already. So yeah, hopefully they'll find some ways to freshen up these matches that are being declared for upcoming WrestleMania, like these promos for these matches anyway, because they're getting played out with some of these techniques, and it's not building heat, at least not the right kind of heat. Heat is when, oh, you son of a bitch, I can't believe you did that. I hope he kicks your ass. That's proper heat. Bad heat is go away heat, where it's like, oh God, he's talking again. Make it stop. Can I fast forward through this? That's go away heat. You don't want that, and that's what I was feeling with John Cena's promo and with Seth Rollins on this episode.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Following that information about what's coming next week on Raw, we are brought to Kathy Kelly, who is having a backstage interview with one AJ Styles, which, if history has taught us anything, we know that this particular interview was going to be interrupted. If not by Logan Paul, then by Karrion Kross. Oh, and fucking surprise, Karrion Kross interrupts mentioning Logan Paul. It's like they did both. And Karrion, who apparently no longer wrestles ever again, he just shows up as Darth Vampire Karrion Kross. Cuts into the conversation, and AJ immediately says, look, whatever this is, I don't want to hear it. And Karrion's like, well, if you don't want to hear it, I'll just leave. And AJ's like, okay, fine, I'll hear it. And I'm like, but he was doing what you wanted him to do. Okay, whatever. And Karrion says he wants to offer a slightly different perspective in that, despite the fact that AJ thinks that Logan Paul doesn't deserve to be on the roster, maybe AJ is mad at himself or perhaps even envious of Logan because Logan made it to the WWE quicker than he did and has risen in the ranks and popularity faster. And that's when AJ says he doesn't have any time for this crap and he walks away. And he says, actually, what he says to Karrion specifically is, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing, and it ain't working. And then he leaves, and then Karrion leans into Scarlett and her, like, chest that is right under her chin. I think you made a comment about, like, did she get a boob job? I don't think so, but I think she was wearing, like, a push-up bra that was bringing them things up into view. And he leans into her and says, I think it's working. And that was it. So apparently he's just the devil on everyone's shoulder now. And so I don't know why he's not wrestling. I don't know where the hell the Wyatt Six have disappeared off to. I don't expect to see them on Raw because they've been moved to SmackDown. But I mean, there's just some like gaps here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to actually see Karrion in a match. Like you do wrestle still, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, we are finally brought to the fifth match of the night, which is the WWE Intercontinental Championship that Dominic Mysterio set up for Finn Balor versus the champion, Braun Breaker. And how did you feel about this main event?
This was probably the match of the night. I actually thought that Finn and Breaker looked better together than I had anticipated. I was fully expecting for Finn to get his ass handed to him, just like no take backsies. But he got it. He got some moves in there.
He did.
Yeah, a lot. Uh, and he also he did all of what he did without having any assistance from Judgment Day, although they did come out and just showed us why they shouldn't have. But honestly, I thought this was a very good match. Excuse me. I thought that was a very good match.
All right, cool.
Probably
I
like I said, probably the better of the matches of the night. Like
Yeah.
finally one that I was like, oh okay. Like I wasn't hyped before it happened, but I did get hyped whilst watching it.
That's fair. I was definitely interested in seeing it because, like, Finn, when he wants to, can really put on a show, and Breaker has been like very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I agree with you. I pretty much felt like it was going to be Breaker breaking Finn because I mean, just it's Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
To their credit, the way this was produced actually made it seem very believable, unlike Dakota Kai and Ivy Nile, for instance. Because it felt like Finn was leveraging his veteran experience and his speed versus the unstoppable like power and also speed of Braun Breaker. And so Balor was able to counter wrestle his way into some good circumstances and almost gets to the point where he's able to land the coup de grace. I mean, he gets Breaker to like charge him in a corner, I want to say, and Breaker does, and it rings his bell enough for Finn to go ahead and hit the shotgun drop kick on him. But then he's unable to land that coup de grace. Some other big high spots. There was a point where Breaker went for the overhead press into the power slam, and the first time he tries to do it, Finn rather smoothly, or they both made it look really smooth, ends up countering into that reverse DDT that he likes to do. There was also a point where Breaker tries to go for the wraparound spear, and as he runs around the final corner heading towards the announce table, Finn like hits him with a 90 million mile an hour, mostly because of the speed at which Breaker's moving, but it's like a 90 million mile an hour sling blade, and it looked fantastic. But ultimately, we end up at a point later in the match where Breaker just starts to get the up on Finn. He's able to land that overhead press power slam and get the better of Finn, and that's when Dom and Carlito come out. And though they didn't interfere directly by attacking Breaker or anything, or like overtly assisting Finn, they did jump up on the ropes and cause some distractions. And that actually leads us to the way the match ends up closing. Is we're at a point where Breaker has Finn on the top rope, and he climbs up and gets him in the superplex position. Like, he didn't do the jump up superplex. It was just he climbed up to put a superplex on him. And Carlito comes in the far side of the ring and distracts the ref, which allows Dominic to break up that superplex. But it also causes Finn to lose his footing. And so he basically crotches himself on the top rope. And then Breaker looks at both of them and he decks Dominic off the apron. And then he runs up and hits the Breakensteiner. That's what they call it. He hits the Breakensteiner, which is that massive Frankensteiner. And basically that sets Finn up to be kind of in the middle of the ring. And he gets, I want to say, wraparound speared.
Excuse me.
And let's see. Yeah, he goes ahead and drills the spear. Actually, I don't think it was a wraparound spear. That's what I was trying to confirm. Is it was a normal spear instead of the one where he runs back and forth between the ropes like 18 times before he delivers it. And he picks up the win. Now, after the match, the Judgment Day, hops into the ring to start kicking Breaker and ganging up on him. And Dominic grabs the Intercontinental Championship looking like he's about to hit Breaker with it. And that's when Penta, comes running into the ring. And Penta basically, super kicks everybody. And that allows Breaker to spear Carlito. And then Penta immediately grabs up the IC title belt. And the crowd's like, oh. And then he walks over to Breaker and basically hands it back to him. And the show goes off the air with Penta and Breaker doing a big standoff stare down. And so that was, in my opinion, the match of the night.
Yeah, for sure.
And it sets up Penta versus Breaker, which I'm very, interested in.
For sure.
It also adds fuel to this growing tension that exists between Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor. Even though everything Dom is doing is to try and help Finn, and Finn is just like, his interest in the Judgment Day seems to only extend to what they can do for him personally at this point. So I'm expecting Finn to end up being ejected from the Judgment Day in the not too distant future.
Yeah, me too. I guess maybe they're about to give him a nice little singles run again. I don't know. Whatever the case, I feel like they might be giving Finn a bit of a push. But then I don't know where that leaves Judgment Day.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. But we'll see. I mean, they're teasing some different stuff. Like the way things are going down, like Dom and Finn are eventually going to have a real big issue if they don't already. And, overwhelmingly, I think Liv and Raquel and Carlito would all support Dom over Finn. And JD isn't there.
Yeah.
So it makes me think it's going to be a Finn ejection, especially since the case could be made that while Dom is going around trying to help members of the Judgment Day by getting you these matches and helping you out, the only thing you're doing is trying to get yourself gold, not benefit the Judgment Day writ large. So, I mean, the case is there. The writing's on the wall as far as I'm concerned for Finn being removed. So we'll have to see where they're intending to go with that, but it's doing something.
Yeah. Well, we shall see.
Indeed. So all that said, how would you rate this episode of WWE Raw?
This was a tough one for me. It was competent, and there were there were some okay matches and some good matches. Uh, and I think, man, I think the matches that were good may outweigh just the okayness of the others. So I am willing, and this is all this. You know what? I'm doing this for Penta. I'm willing to give this particular episode an 8. I would really want to give it a 7.5 if not for the unbelievable amount of commercials that they shove down your freaking throat, man. It's like watching it on regular television now, honestly. Like you get just as many freaking commercials. But you have the
If not
power to fast
more.
forward
Yeah,
them. So I guess that's the selling point. And I
I
think
guess.
that's why I'm willing to give it an 8 because you can fast forward to that crap. You can. And if you do,
Wow.
you'll be surprised to see
So you,
if you started at 8 when the show starts at 7, if you started at 8, you'd be done with the show the same time the people who started watching it at 7 and didn't fast forward through commercials would be done with it. So what does that tell you? I know what it
yeah,
tells you. Too many freaking commercials. But
exactly. Yeah.
other than that, a fun show, a good show, and the audience was hype, almost a little too hype. But, but for me, I like it when the audience is hype more than when they aren't. So yeah, it was, and I'll just say the audience was hype and they were fun. I was so happy to see Corey again, no matter how awkward the vibe may have been. If he's around, for the long haul, then I'm sure it will work itself out. We shall see. But as I said, all in all, I'd give it an 8.
Well, you're certainly more generous than I am.
I know.
I
Yeah,
think
I'm being way. I trust me. I know that
I
I'm
can't
being
in
way
good
generous.
conscience. I can't in good conscience even push this up to top tier. Like it, this defies the definition of what top tier means to me.
I know. I know.
So this would fall well under. For me, this is going to be like a 5,
Oh,
5 neck nubs because Cena's promo, which was like the big opening act, was atrocious. Um,
yeah.
the opening match, while it was Penta, and I was glad to see him, it was nothing to write home about. Him and Ludwig Kaiser, like all I've seen is Penta go against like Ludwig and maybe Chad Gable once and Pete Dunne. I'm ready to see him wrestle somebody like a little higher up on the card, and
Yeah, yeah. They
it,
they
it
they do get stuck. They do get stuck with this one wrestler making his rounds through two or three other wrestlers. They get stuck
yeah.
with that. I wish they would stop.
And so I at best I could say that was an okay match. I love Penta, so it's not his fault, but I mean it's just eh. And the second match I really dislike with Dakota Kai and Ivy Nile, so that's a big negative for me.
Hmm.
Um, as far as segments go, segment wise, there were several that were like they were passable. There were a few big ones, like top card ones, like Seth Rollins and like Cena and Cody, that were ass.
Yeah.
The only top of the card like segment that I thought was worth anything, like segment, not match, was the stuff with Io, Bianca, and Rhea. That was good, and I will say that the main event was good for the in-ring action, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Everything else was mid to crap. Like, oh, and it hurt. And I'm having a real hard time separating the fact out that like so much like I felt fatigued watching this show between the commercials and all of the stuff that's not actually a commercial break, but it's like the announcers telling you about like anything else but wrestling, or
Yeah.
some product that they're promoting, coupled with the incredibly drug out promos from Seth and Cody. This was a fatiguing episode to get through. Like I can't say this was a net positive for me. I'm stopping at a 5 to give Io, Rhea, and Bianca, as well as Braun Breaker and Finn Balor, their due for being the bright spots in an otherwise kind of mid to bad show. So this is nowhere. This isn't even able to see what top tier looks like as far as I'm concerned. This was not a great episode of Raw. The crowd was good, but that's not WWE. That's the crowd. And I feel like the crowd was wasted on such a mediocre show, to be perfectly honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, for me, this one did not hit on all cylinders. So 5 neck nubs, definitely not top tier.
Yeah. Okay. I feel you.
That said, I would like to thank everyone who listened to this episode, and I hope you will join us for our next episode. And until then, I don't think there's anything for me to do but roll the outro.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest AEW and WWE news and shows. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Follow us on social media for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.